People who seek to entrench political supremacy are not for the purpose of serving the general citizens in this country. So BBI is a no-go zone for me.
And because it's a matter that is in court, I think it's only fair that we leave it at that, but not before we just ponder on President Uhuru Kenyatta's utterances and the fact that there are many who read, some level of bulldozing aspect in, that particular statement, a scenario where the president appears as though he would want to twist the, this arm of government into giving a ruling that is going to be in favor of the document. Really, do we get into a point where we need to read so much into what President Uhuru Kenyatta says, and hugely does it in a way affect the process, or will it in a way alter what it is that the judges would have hoped or wished to deliberate on in regards to this?
We don't need to read too much. What we need to do is to treat the utterances with utmost seriousness.
Okay.
One, let me first say that my friend has said that this process was initiated by two people.
Okay.
And to me, that is an improvement, because Punguza Mzigo was an initiative by one person. At least now we have.
So you can't say it was an initiative of Ukuru Aukot. Was it?
Ukuru Aukot. It was.
Was it Ukuru Aukot? I mean, Third Way Alliance is a party that.
No. It is Ukuru Aukot and nobody else.
Okay.
And that will be a story for another day.
For another day.
At least that was one person. These were two.
At least there were two, yeah?
Yes. Number two.
Make it three, because Atwoli at some point says, you know what, I am the one who started this conversation. Let's make it three.
Let me go to the utterances by the president, and not really utterances, but concerns that were revealed to us by the president. One, the president talks about something that really bothers me, and I have always talked about it. Who carries the burden of choices?
Okay.
Who carries the burden? And he quoted and said, in 2017, Justice Maraga led the Supreme Court in nullifying the 2017 presidential elections. But at the same time, Maraga did not tell the country who will carry the burden of choice, because there are costs involved.
Okay.
We are just from a general election. We have spent close to 50 billion. You have told us that we have nullified these elections, not because the votes were not enough, but because of technicalities here and there.
All right.
So, a few technicalities which would cost the country another 20 billion, but Maraga is not telling us where these 20 billion will come from. And it is not the judiciary arm of government that was to carry that burden. He's throwing the burden to the executive. So they must also tell us.
The taxpayer.
No.
Is this not a process that is going to be
let us be very clear.
All right.
Let us be very clear. You see, Mwananchi pays.
He does.
But the person who knows the amount in the shelf, the amount in the account, is the executive.
Okay.
And if the executive says there is no money, there is no money, and you're forcing them to spend another 20 billion as opposed to delivering a service elsewhere. Look at this.
Isn't democracy expensive?
Look at this. Look at this. That's what he's trying to tell them. They're saying in another court order that KMC should not be transferred, and this is what led to his utterances, and people must get it. They're saying KMC should not have been transferred from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Ministry of Defense. And that still burden of choice is taken to the president, who says. So
are you trying first of all to say that indeed the president was in contempt of court because he went against the words of
look at
the
this.
courts?
Let me go step by step. You'll get it very clear.
Okay.
You will get it. Kibaki, during his era, he gave KMC 1 billion to revive through the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay.
Then came Uhuru Kenyatta, gave KMC 2 billion to revive. The thing did not come through. Then the president sits, because the prerogative of giving out roles and responsibilities to the ministries is a prerogative of the executive.
Yes.
It is not the judiciary to say who works where. It is not up to them. So he said, I'm going to transfer the Kenya Meat Commission from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Ministry of Defense. By the time he was doing that is like 2 months ago, when they kicked off the activities, there were debts going up to 4 years.
Right.
Within a very short period of time, KDF had already sorted out all the debts, and currently today they are paying farmers. They are paying farmers within 72 hours of delivery. Are we together? And they're receiving up to 1,000 kettle per day. Now tell me, now you are the judge. These facts have been laid on your table by the government. They have told you, since we did this and this and this and this has happened. Kenyan farmers are now enjoying payments within 72 hours. And you say it is unconstitutional. You don't transfer.
You need to understand that it's not the judiciary or the courts that instigate these processes. The processes are instigated by petitioners that go to challenge some of these activities in court. And therefore, it is in their jurisdiction to go by what it is enshrined in the Constitution, the rule of law, and it would be unfair for them to go against the rule of law.
And I will take you back to Kiraito Murungi with one sentence. They also live in Kenya.
All right.
Yes.
Well, let's come to you. And you mentioned KDF, and I just remembered a tweet by one Cliff Ombetsa who says, the president should as well go to KDF to get lawyers that are going to represent them on this one. Because
and
he looks like he seems to have so much confidence.
He imagines there are no lawyers there.
Of course they are. They are definitely.
All right. Not think there are no lawyers there.
Yes, Ngetich.
Linda, allow me to respond to my friend Solomon Kuria, because there are a lot of inconsistencies in what he is talking about.
Right.
One, first of all, we should call out the president for the very unfortunate utterances. And I've said this before. Our president has become so emotional, so that he just makes public utterances without consideration. Let's look at, for example, Linda, in 2019, Mashujaa Day celebration. Our president called out on the lawyers who are members of parliament that they should not go to court to represent maybe suspect who are charged with corruption.
And that is of Orengo.
Very recently in Kisumu, just a few days ago, the president was hero like worshipping Orengo, that we are not going to lose this case in court because we have people like Orengo.
This is not corruption case.
But now, and also on another thing, Linda, the executive is not in charge of appropriation of budget in this country. Parliament appropriates the budget. So for Solomon Kuria to say elections cannot be nullified because there will be no funds for election is totally unacceptable. One, in any general election, Linda, as we budget for a general election, there's a budget for main election and there's a budget for rerun in case of a presidential rerun. So, and in any case, if the election is nullified and there is no money, Parliament can sit and pass a supplementary budget to make provision for money for running a general election. Yeah. So the 2017 nullification of the presidential election was not on the consideration of whether there is budget or not, but it was on a basis of material facts placed before the law. And in summary, Justice Maraka said, the greatness of any nation lies in its fidelity to the Constitution and its strict adherence to the rule of law, and above all, respect for God. So in this case, Linda, the president should be above bar in terms of respect for the rule of law. But what our president is doing, we have seen he has disregarded so many court orders, and it is very sad for a country like Kenya, a developing democracy like ours, to see a head of state bragging that I have disregarded the order that KMC be referred back to the Ministry of Livestock, and nothing happened. And we see now, even as we go in this BBI process is creating a mongrel system of government, whereby the president now will be above the law. Look at our 2010 constitution. It is lauded world over as the most progressive constitution. One, if you read in Article 10 of the constitution, our national values, the most important thing that makes our constitution the best is the element of public participation. That is why even before the president created NMS, even though it is in question because of the rulings of the court, there was an element, they tried to do some semblance of public participation in the real sense, because the constitution demands for any such action, public must be involved. So who did the president consult when he decided to move KMC from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Ministry of Defense? And especially Kenyans are suspicious in the sense that we've seen most of the security budgets they are called confidential budgets. So there will be no accountability in terms of the money the KDF will spend on KMC. Okay. So that is why we should demand accountability from the president.
That is the biggest question.
That is the biggest question.
To Nairobi right now.
Nairobi, even NMS, the KMC in the military. So those are the questions Kenyans are asking themselves. What if now this BBI, which creates a mongrel system, which is not known anywhere in the world over, it is only found in banana republics like in Africa, in Tanzania, and maybe in Uganda, they have a prime minister who has no powers. But in constitutions all over, like United States, a federal system, it's a pure presidential system, and we have seen there are systems of accountability working very. In United Kingdom, we have seen the way it operates. It's a form of parliamentary system. So Kenyans should not be cajoled to a cocoon like let's have this thing because it is fair for these people. So Linda, in terms of pushing for constitutional amendments to any constitution, we should consider the needs of the people, not the needs of the political class.
But we acknowledge the fact that yes, there's that room. It's a dynamic document.
Yes, it's a living document, yes, and it can be amended.
It can be amended.
But the process of amendment now is what we should be talking about.
Do you agree that in a way, in this constitution, we have a lot of loopholes? We call them lacunae in law. I mean, looking at where we come from, the 2017 general election, yes, and most of the court battles that Gotv is referring to the constitution, there was so much that was left open, and therefore the amendments would have been necessary.
Arising from 2017 elections, Linda, I don't think as far as our constitution is at the moment, there is no much amendments. In fact, the questions we should be asking ourselves, have we implemented fully the 2010 constitution? And the answer is no, because there are issues like gender inclusivity, which has not been fully implemented.
The goodwill is the problem. What is the guarantee anyway that this is likely to be implemented in totality? There
is no guarantee. And even the proponents of BBI, like my friend Solomon here, is telling our women and our sisters in this country that BBI will make inclusivity of women a reality. But when you look at it in terms of parliamentary representation, but when you look at it, if we go to elections, what will happen thereafter in terms of National Assembly, most women will have to be nominated. And when we have seen how elected leaders who are nominated are made to make a decision in the Senate, for example, Division of Revenue Bill, they are forced to make a decision not on their choice, but because the party are said. So there is no independence of women when in terms of decision making in parliament, for example, you have to follow certain positions from the party. You don't have your own reasoning. So that means now inclusivity of women in terms of parliamentary and leadership affairs is an elusive thing. Okay. It's just like something that has been put to close our eyes, yet we have not achieved that gender inclusivity.
All right, well, let's wait and see what the court will deliberate on this one. We are certainly eagerly waiting. The question of timelines is one that we need to be keen on.
But he cannot say that the president has to consult anyone to transfer KMC from the Ministry of Agriculture to the Ministry of Defense.
Right.
Let me tell him that a few days ago, the president transferred a number of parastatals from the Ministry of Transport to the Ministry of Finance, Treasury, and he did not consult anyone. Are we together?
Right.
It's only that there's tremendous performance in KMC. That's why people are now getting the cartels that used to, you know, rustle cattle everywhere in this country. Now they are no longer doing it, and they must react. And I must say this: it is unfortunate that part of our courts have been taken hostage by the civil society.
Judicial activism, you think?
And the cartels of this. Yes. It is there.
Well, why would it get to that point?
Let me tell you.
And
this.
I mean, of what interest then the civil rights groups?
Why would you not? Yes. Why would you not appreciate something like the president is telling you from a very, very great point of information that I approached Kenya Railways and I told them to revive MV Uhuru in Kisumu Port, and they came back to me with a proposal of 1.5 billion. Then I sought an opinion B, the second opinion.
Okay.
And I went to Kenya Defense Forces and I told them, guys, can we revive this? They also came back to me with a bill of 250 million. Isn't this what we have been talking about? Exaggeration of costs.
Okay.
You know, and the president says, these guys have brought back MV Uhuru, is now taking oil to Uganda, you know, every day, and it takes only 12 hours to get there. Are we together? Who can't see that?
The quality?
Come to Nairobi.
Quality?
Quality of what?
Well, generally, remember there was that conversation on the Jomo Kenyatta Stadium in regards to, you know, the monies that were released and the standards that it is in right now. And
of course, that one was not done by KDF.
By KDF. That I agree. But we're just looking at, let's not stick at the things that have worked well and overlook the others that have not.
So perhaps you are telling me if it was done by KDF, maybe it would have been better.
Now you tell us now that
I'm coming to Nairobi.
Yeah.
Coming to Nairobi. A few days we were making noise all over. Now, in a few days, we have run several tests on the new bus terminus, just here next door.
Right.
And it has been courtesy of the general body.
You had the projections. That Wetangula, Senator for Bungoma, was speaking about on the roads. I think it's this express route that you know the projections are way above what was projected before then. And then the question is just why is it that this project is coming in at a very expensive and exaggerated rate in comparison to what was? And
I believe that has been there in so many other contracts. That has been there. And it is time we open our eyes as civilians.
Okay.
When we are electing these people, do we elect the right people? Let us start there. Because we elect someone as a civilian to represent you, the aspect of discipline is nowhere. The disciplined forces know what they're supposed to do. And they do it at very low costs.
Okay.
Perhaps it's the time we try to think, do we need governors who are politicians? People will have to bribe voters every now and then so that they vote for them next time. And where do they get this money to bribe them? It is from the same coffers. So a governor will exaggerate a contract that is supposed to take $1 million, then he will exaggerate and do it at around 100 million. Because if looking at 250 and 1.5 billion, you can see the percentage difference. So governors will draw monies from the public coffers so that they can sustain their politics for 5 years. You can imagine. So it is the high time we think, do we really need politicians as members of parliament? Right. Do we need politicians as governors?
Are these individuals born politicians or they just get into the game and then they become politicians?
Sometimes people are born politicians. Right. Sometimes as they progress, they find out, you know, today, let me tell you the truth. The best way to make money in this country is to become an MCA, is to become a member of parliament, is to be appointed in a public office.
Do you intend to be one of these representatives?
Yeah, with a difference. I intend to become one, but with a difference. Okay. We must change the narrative. You see, looking at somebody like Buddy, he knows that after the end of his 2 years at the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, he will go back to the barracks. He will not come back to Mwananchi to ask for votes. When Governor Mike Sonko was there, he was leaving his, clearly cut out role of being the governor and running an NGO in the name of Sonko Rescue Team. Because if he sticks to this thing of being the governor, and not Sonko rescue team, some votes will run away with someone else. So he must appear to be the philanthropist as opposed to being the service provider in a government institution.
Do you suppose then NMS has really impressed the people of Nairobi?
I am telling you.
They have done that, but there are reports of discrepancies also on what he raises. Who is going to give us the accountability? Who's going to tell us that this and this money was given to NMS?
Let me tell you, we must get it right. Every budget they appropriate is approved by the county assembly. Okay. And that is why before Sonko was axed from his position, there was that standoff that he had not signed the budget of the county government of Nairobi. So the MCAs are still playing their oversight role. Okay. But what we are saying is this. Within a very short period of time, he is coming up with something very clear that, guys, I am going to put up 23 level 2 and level 3 hospitals, new ones in Nairobi. And he is actually, I've attended 3 functions during the launches. And he will continue launching more and more, 23 of them. Where was this money going to, actually?
Now that you're talking monies, I'd want for you to open this page for us on Huru's figures, set tongues wagging, that is on the Standard newspaper, that is on the performance of the economy, what has been done. It's on the Standard newspaper. I don't know what page, is it page 20 or page... It should be just open. There's some there it is. There it is. There you go. What does it speak of?
Okay, Linda. Before even I come to the lofty Madaraka, for myself, I don't call it lofty. Okay. Because I have my own reservation for the speech given by the President Kisumu. But my friend, it appears my friend Solomon Kuria has not read the rules of transfer of Nairobi county functions well. Because the only thing that is that the county assembly is accountable to is the transfer of monies to the functions which was transferred to Mbadi's body, NMS. But after that, the Mbadi is accountable.
Hold it. They need to fix your audio. I'm told it's not as clear. But anyway, yes, we will come back to that aspect. But I'd love for Solomon to take that story and just go through it. And speak of the numbers that are being projected there, and you speak of whether Kenyans are going to be a happy lot in the event that they look at these numbers, and generally a comparison of the state of the economy between those individuals that are captured on the papers, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta and former President, that is Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. Well, it appears as though the economy has not performed so well as we would expect.
What I would like you to look at is the first column on this. It's talking about the size of economy 2013 versus 2020. Okay. By then it was 4.7 trillion in the time of Kibaki, 2013. In 2020 it is 10.3 trillion.
In terms of collections or what?
The size of the economy.
Economy itself,
the economy of Kenya.
Yes.
Then debt uptick. By the time of Kibaki, it was around 244.8 billion. By the time of, by 2020, it is 5.17 trillion. And to me, that is an explanation. Okay. That is an explanation. The size of the economy by then was around 4.7 trillion. Now it is 10.3. That's almost 3 times.
So the size matches the debts.
That is the point. Okay. And we must agree that for that world country, and that's where most countries in Africa are. For us to grow our economies, it is debt.
It is, and that we acknowledge. The problem is in the corruption aspect.
And that one we acknowledge. If corruption is there, everybody should participate in the fight against corruption. And that is why the BBI has even sorted out that and said, we must set 2 years as the minimum amount of time a case of involving corruption should take before a judge. Okay. A maximum of 2 years. If you remember, since 2017, there have been people who have been taken to court, dates moved from this time to this time, and up to date, we don't have a ruling or a judgment on
the same
cases involving corruption.
So it's a guarantee with the proposal that is in the BBI.
Yes. Let us put it as Kenyans and say 2 years. So that tomorrow we are going to ask that judge, why is this not happening.
You know, the biggest question
Right
that
now,
the judges most will say it's because they don't get watertight, you know, cases. There's no proper evidence to incriminate
I
or
told
to.
you must not listen to what the judges are saying.
But the very same judges that will go
listen to what they are not saying, because why would they say watertight? And you, as a civilian, a common mwananchi, you can comfortably say that this pen was bought at 80 shillings and not 8.
Okay.
As a mwananchi, you know. So why is it so difficult for a judge? Are we having data heads in our courts that they cannot?
Hold it right there. Let's not go so hard on them. Let's not go so hard on them.
Let me. I have always been concerned about this. Out here, we know the corrupt people. We know this governor did this and this, and we know. But when they step there, we start hearing phrases like, "Oh, watertight," "Oh, this," "Oh, this." That is the language of fighting, of corruption fighting back. And we have seen it. We have seen a judge being compromised by a governor with over 200 million Kenya shillings. We must not always feed Kenyans the news that, oh, judges are good all the time. No. In fact, elsewhere, in some places, judges are elected by the people. So that when you do not become accountable to the people who elected you and put you to that position, they fire you next time and elect someone else. Mm-hmm. Here in Kenya, once you are appointed a judge, it is only God who can take you away from that.
Are you raising this debate again that the judiciary is the missing link in the fight against corruption?
Because they are not accountable to the people they stand for, the Kenyans. You cannot ask a judge any question. And once you do that, they start saying, no, if you have a question, go to court. The courts where they sit.
Do we root out the investigative bodies on this?
I would say this. I have seen DCI cannot do so much on this. I have even seen him working with the DPP in trying to come up with what, Linda, you said, watertight cases. Mm-hmm. But once they get there, the cartels, some of these judges involved. Remember, we had the Akashas in Kenya. Mm-hmm. They were declared to be clean.
And these
they are
judges
not doing anything. They were taken to America. And today they are serving a 25 years jail. You
are privy to the processes of getting ourselves judges today. Are you not privy to that? Some of them have gone through the hand of the president himself.
Yes.
Some of them are waiting for the president's approval right now, and therefore upon approval, if they go there and probably go against what it is that would be the wish of the president, then you declare them as judges that have been...
I mean, do you believe that President Uhuru Kenyatta appointed Martha Koome as the Chief Justice? Do you believe that?
But are you not in agreement that she went through the constitutional process to get her where it is as she is?
Yes, but I have an issue with that process. I have an issue completely.
Why
Absolutely.
Do you?
I remember the issue, the time we had the issue with the Chief Justice of the US, Kavanaugh, you remember?
Yes.
And Trump stood and said, this is my person. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to have this one. Mm-hmm. And he had him. In Kenya, we have a lot of, Moism in our mind. Okay. When we were changing our 2010 constitution, actually, this constitution, the way I call it myself, it was not a constitution for Kenyans. It was a constitution to punish the Moi legacy.
Then why is it that we are talking about amendments and not a complete overhaul of the same?
We don't need an overhaul because some of the articles are so good for us. Okay. We don't need to charge them. Uh-huh. We don't need an overhaul. What we need is to amend here and there. But we must not look at the constitution with the glasses of seeing someone else there.
So upon amendment, it's going to be a different thing, and therefore it's not going to be about Moi anymore?
It is not going to be about Moi.
Let
it not be about Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
Let it not be about William Ruto or even Raila Amolo Odinga. Let it be a constitution for Kenyans. Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, Ngetich on the NMS story.
Okay, Linda. I was cut short. I was trying
Apologies for that, yes.
Yeah, as I was trying to explain the issue of NMS, my friend Solomon Kuria, I was talking about the deeds of transfer of county government of Nairobi to NMS. Some functions were transferred to NMS, majorly health, infrastructure, and such kind of a thing. What the County Assembly of Nairobi does is to appropriate money to follow those functions. But from there on, Mbadi, we don't know who Mbadi is accountable to because he's not accountable to the County Assembly. Okay. We have had even majority Peter Imwatok, majority, I think minority whip in the Nairobi County Assembly complaining about the accountability in the NMS. So the doubts we have, even though they are trying to say NMS has done considerable things, But we in Nairobi, when you go to Nairobi around Ladis Road now, you see a lot of that, Linda. If you have been there, you see a lot of that. Yet they are saying NMS was to come and do miracle things. Maybe they have tried in terms of building health infrastructure. The president talks of 23 hospitals, and I hope, because I have not gone there to see myself, I hope those hospitals will come to a reality. Some of them are not complete, but it will help Kenyans in terms of health services. That is what the president talked of, human dignity. But the issue Kenyans are talking about, when you see even now the size of the economy at the moment is 10.3 trillion. And my friend is lauding this very much. But the question is, we are not looking at the 10.3 billion. Where is the 10.3 trillion? The distribution of this money? Is it in the hands of the people? Is it in the hands of all the Kenyans? It is in the hands of only few individuals. Most Kenyans at the moment, I think 70%, they live below poverty lines. What we used to call a poverty line, we now call it Human Development Index. And the issue, especially as what we have as the hustler nation, you need to change the conversation around the economy, especially on the distribution of wealth. We need now to focus. Even I give President Uhuru Kenyatta I can say I love the president for having done some great investment in terms of infrastructure. But for that infrastructure to give us a real economic takeoff, we should now change the conversation around the economy.
The hustler nation is in government. Why not change the conversation now while in government?
Linda, that will be a lie when you say that.
Is it not in government?
No,
Okay.
That's
Is the DP not in government? Is it actually not part and parcel?
You must be a stranger in Jerusalem.
I think I am a stranger in Jerusalem at this
You must be a stranger in Jerusalem not to see that the DP has been excluded from the running of the day-to-day activities of government. You see, even during COVID-19 management, when the COVID came in, did you see DP anywhere in the management of COVID or anything else?
Did he need to be anywhere anyway?
So that is the president, maybe because of his reasons, has his own reasons and what have you. So what we are saying as the hustler nation, the DP has been excluded from the government. Okay. So any baggage the Uhuru Kenyatta's government does between 2018 and 2020, going to the next election, belongs to Uhuru Kenyatta, does not associate itself with the DP. Okay. So the conversation we are saying as the hustler nation, we should focus on the people who are on the lower stratum in the social pyramid. Okay. That is the mama mbogas, the borders. So that now when we now talk of this, our size of our economy being 10.3 trillion, all of us as Kenyans feel we are on board this, we are part and parcel of the economy. Because right now, Linda, Kenyans are suffering. Especially, we are not saying that due to COVID-19 pandemic, because even before COVID-19 came, Kenya's economy was in a bad state. So, and a lot of Kenyans have suffered, it has been exacerbated by COVID-19 situation. So for us, we are saying the conversation must change. The priorities now must change. And not about, we should not be talking about changes to the constitution like my friend is advocating. I even surprised he's saying the BBI amendments are just small amendments. What it does not know is that BBI, the one we are talking about, is amending 16 of the 18 chapters. Mathematically, Linda, that is above 90%. And that is a total overhaul of our 2010 constitution. It's a total overhaul.
Hold it right there. Yes. I know he wants to react to the same briefly, because then time is not on our side. We only have about 6 minutes or they're about to close. As you tell us also what played out in Kisumu.
Yes. Number one, let me start with Kisumu, because I'm sure we have talked so much about the BBI.
The BBI, yes.
And we shall speak more when it comes back within a month.
Oh, it comes back for sure.
It will come back.
Okay.
It will come back.
All right.
We are telling the judges, we are the people.
All right.
We are the ones who actually appended our signatures in support of this document. Please let it be ours.
Through coercion.
Let it be ours. And repeat the statement that was made by the president. Constitution is not a yoke on our necks.
Wow.
Actually, I have heard the Pope himself and the Catholic Church trying to amend some lines in the prayer. you know, the gods in our Lord's
Lord's
prayer.
Prayer. Mm-hmm.
If we can go up to that extent, why should someone tell us that it is so difficult to change the constitution to fit our needs?
Okay.
You know, let them be aware that there is no any article in the constitution that the people of Kenya cannot amend. Let them know that. Mm-hmm. Number two.
Well, they said there are some which we'll be looking to see
in
which ones they are referring to. Yes.
In Kisumu,
the basic ones, yes.
The man he represents and the man he works for,
yes.
that is William Ruto, the deputy president, should actually thank, you know, the hardship brothers, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga, for the hardship and preaching peace in this country, that gave him a warm welcome in Kisumu Dala. At
peace
Kondele.
That segregates him?
Yes. Let me tell you, if this was in 2017, and I can tell you, I was on December 2016, I was in Kisumu. And I drove from Nairobi peacefully all the way until I got to Kondele. I remembered, my face betrays me. And I raised my car windows to the brim and locked from the Central Rock all the doors. Mm-hmm. And I drove past Kondele. I was going to Kanyakwar. Okay. Kanyakwar Hill in Kisumu. And as I was driving back, I did the same. Today, if I go there, I will stop at Kondele and order some chicken and some fish.
Are we not exaggerating? Was it that bad?
It was bad. Let me tell you, it was really bad. Do you know Kondele?
I do.
Kondele, my friend, if they look at you and see Anokuyu, by that time, if they look at you and see Anokuyu, my friend, you are in danger. And even the person who gave me that hint is the friend I was visiting. He told me, my brother, if you get to Kondele, race, you know, the window panes. Mm-hmm. Because if they see you, they'll see Anokuyu. It was that bad. Mm-hmm. Remember, we had even some companies that were not supposed to sell their products around that place. Yep. Today, the brothers of the handshake have preached peace everywhere in this country. They have told people that we must stop fighting every time there is an election. Every time there is an election, we are fighting. Let us stop this. And that is why you would imagine, in the history of this republic, how many presidents have stepped in Kisumu town to launch a project? It started with Kenyatta. When he was there, some rotten eggs were thrown at him. Mm-hmm. You remember?
Yes.
He was called names. He did not go back there until he died. Then came Moi. I have no history of Moi stepping in Kisumu. Well, then came Mwai Kibaki. Mm-hmm. Even campaigning in Kisumu, it is after 2017. He did not go back there. Came President Uhuru Kenyatta in his first term. I think we only went to Kisumu. Not even Kisumu, Nyanza, in just one county. In 2017, the same. Did you see him campaigning in Nyanza? He did not go. Okay. Today, the whole country, the whole leadership of the country was in Nyanza. Whether opposition or in government, isn't that a cohesive country we are seeing? Isn't that cohesive? So I'm saying, I've seen people celebrating how William Ruto was received in Kondele.
Is he not the support that he's garnered by his own?
Let him give credit where it is due and say, these are the fruits of the hardship.
Get it close that one for us. Get it close it for us.
Yes, I will. Linda, as we close, I'd like just to remind my friend, just to inform him that Kibaki launched something in Kisumu.
Yes,
in coalition government. When there was coalition government.
So nonetheless, Linda, allow me first.
If that happened during the coalition, then we ask ourselves, is this what we see today? Something that is going to be sustainable anyway? Or again, there's going to be a different face and things are going to be different because we want to get peace that is
permanent.
Yes.
We are putting it in the constitution and we are saying expand the executive.
No.
Work on inclusivity. Resource allocation.
Yes, Linda, allow me to use this opportunity to thank.
Make it brief. Mm-hmm.
Yes, to thank the great people of Kisumu for giving an exhilarating welcome to the chief hustler of this nation, His Excellency the Deputy President William Ruto. Specifically the people of Kondele for such a very rousing welcome. Linda, on the political front of it, many people did not expect William Ruto to receive such a welcome,
Yeah.
including my friend who is trying to explain it was because of
Yes,
yes.
But what they don't understand is because of the conversation the Hustler Nation has started.
Okay.
That now we are
Stop
focusing
it, man.
on the
That's a
people.
lie. That's a lie.
Just allow me to finish.
Well, please finish.
Yes.
Ngeti, you have
It is
to
because
move
of the
to a
conversation we
different
have started that we should focus now. The focus of the economy should be on the common man.
In Kondawe.
Linda, that is the language the people of this country, the millions of the people, poor people of this country understand, and it resonates well with them. And that is the conversation we shall keep on having as we move forward.
Right.
And those hustlers, Linda, are not only in Kisumu. They are in Nyandarua. They are in Nyeri. They are in Kiambu. They are in Bomet.
And they are going to receive them.
They are everywhere in this country.
Okay.
So such a rousing welcome will not only happen in Kisumu, but you expect to see whenever William Ruto goes to any part of this country, expect to see
And
that.
not any other leader?
Yes. And Linda, what
No, we have to close.
Yes, we
have
are
to
closing
close.
it. Allow
Yes.
me, give me 2 minutes.
2 minutes is too much.
1 minute.
30 seconds.
So the thing I'm saying, Linda, if the other leaders, the political actors of this country, does not climb down from the ivory tower to the ground to reconcile themselves with the realities of this country. Let me just give take for example Raila Odinga.
We have to close.
Yes, I'm closing. I'm finishing. When Raila Odinga takes to the podium, the only things he talks about is BBI and reggae. But Linda, let me put it in perspective. What is BBI for someone who does not know where the next meal is coming from?
Wow.
Linda, what is BBI for someone who does not know where the next rent is coming from?
Okay.
What is BBI for a parent who does not know where school fees
It is
is
fair
coming
enough.
from? So Linda, the thing
No, we
is,
have to
you saw
close
even
the
a
teach.
parent committed a suicide.
Yes.
Because his child passed and does not have school fees for
But
the
even
child.
before,
so the
even
confa-
before BBI,
No.
we have gone through this situation.
know,
No, those are
Well,
issues.
Ngetish, we have
So
to
they
close
should-
it.
they
I
should-
will invite you again. For sure, I will invite you again.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kiprotich Ngetish, Youth Leader, UDA, Solomon Kuria, Chairman, Jubilee Youth League, Asanteni Sana. I look forward to host you again to respond some more on this conversation. I realize that there's so much we were to touch on, but then time would not allow us. We close it. We get to a different conversation on Matters Lands after this break.